Today, I am very honored to be joined by the Minister of Agriculture for Saskatchewan, the Honourable David Marit. And he's here today to talk about the whole year for the Ministry of Agriculture. And so thank you so much for being with me today, David.
Thanks for having me on, Thomas.
And so once again this year, David, it was a bit of a tougher year for agriculture producers in Saskatchewan, whether it was livestock producers and not being able to have enough feed, and also crop producers and having less than a preferable growing season. So just talk to me about all the programs that you guys rolled out this year to help Saskatchewan agriculture producers as much as possible.
Obviously, we saw it, especially in the southern part and southwest part of the province, Thomas. We saw dry conditions once again. The good part was, to some degree, is we saw some spring snow that really helped the water situation. We saw some runoff that obviously filled the dugouts in a large part of the southwest and south central part of the province, where we were very concerned about water conditions as well. But as the spring went on, obviously we got into dry conditions, and in some parts of the southwest, south central, they were cutting their hay, and probably the second week of June they started cutting their hay crop, and obviously it was a short hay crop. So we started looking, obviously through July and August. We reached out to some ranchers and just wanted to find out just how how severe it was. And we saw we even saw those conditions. I saw them through my constituency, through Doug Steele's constituency, even right up into the west central part of the province. We saw that. So we were concerned about it, and what we're going to do to help the cattle folks, the livestock producers. So in August, we started looking at what we could do, and then in August, we announced that we were going to help the livestock industry in purchasing feed. So that's what we did, and then in October, the federal government came along, and with their portion, obviously they didn't give us the full 100% of what we were hoping they'd give us. But in total, it's just short of $150 million that's going out to the livestock producers here in the province of Saskatchewan. And that's really to protect the breeding stock. And that's really what we wanted to do. So, the ranchers, some of them are still hauling feed as we speak. So they've got till March to submit their bills. And we will compensate them up to $150 per head. If they're in the zone that the federal government has deemed, we are doing a province-wide on a provincial portion that we will pay to anybody outside of even the zone that the federal government has clarified their portion of it. So that's going to roll out, and hopefully it'll help a lot of the livestock producers in purchasing their feed. And I talked to some ranchers myself, and they're very thankful that we were able to help them out that way.
And David, let's just continue to talk about the livestock relief program that you guys had for the drought season here, that you also had a little bit of help from the federal government about, and just how much of an uptake has that program had in its first year running here in Saskatchewan?
Obviously, we've had quite a few hundreds and probably into the thousands now that have had made applications. But I've talked to some as early as just last week that are still hauling feed, and they're saying, no, we'll get it. We'll make sure we get our bills in probably, and we'll probably start to see those applications really come in January, February. That's when we'll really start to see the applications come in. Once they get all their feed home and purchased that way, then we will see the receipts, and then the checks will be going out. And I'm sure that the crop insurance folks will get the checks out just as fast this time once they receive the receipts as we did in 2021. So I know the uptake will be significant once we see January, February. And I did, once again, talking to some ranchers, and they actually thanked us for that program. They said it's a significant amount of money. We also, when we saw the devastation on the feed side, we did the same thing as we did in 2021 with the crops. We doubled the yield thresholds to allow if there was a crop that they could write off. For example, if it was spring wheat, the threshold to take it to zero was 5 bushel. We doubled it to 10. So if it's less than 10 bushel the acre, the farmer could make the choice if he wanted to sell that for feed to a rancher, or if he wanted to harvest it. It was his choice. And we saw some uptake in that as well, once again. So it just gave an opportunity for ranchers to be able to source feed probably a little closer to home, and give them that opportunity as well. So we saw that. A couple other things we did is we froze the lease rates for the livestock producers this year as well. Just because we saw what the way the spring was coming in, we were concerned about it. And then we also brought in a program where we allowed the ranchers, if they pulled their cattle off of the pastures early, that we would compensate them up to 50% of the amount of days that they pulled off, up to 50% of their herd. We would compensate it or reduce their rate by that amount as well. So we did what we thought we could do for the livestock producers. I hope I'm sure it's going to be programs that they really do like. And we're starting to see more uptake, especially in the forage rainfall insurance one. We're starting to see more and more producers do that. And we're looking at ways that we can do things better. How do we monitor rainfall, things like that. So we're looking at other avenues and things that we could actually make programs better. Another good significant thing that came out of even the First Minister's meeting down in New Brunswick is we saw the Maritimes have now signed on to the livestock price insurance program. So what we're really hoping for is that we can get this under a national program and see the federal government and provincial governments come in to that program as well.
Thank you so much for all the information, David, and hopefully next year will be a bit of a better growing season for Saskatchewan producers, and of course you guys will do great things continuing here at the Ministry of Agriculture for Saskatchewan.
Thank you so much, Thomas. I just want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and all the best in 2024.